Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, may I warmly welcome you to the Habibie Center's webinar dissemination. It is quite unfortunate that this discussion had to be conducted virtually due to the current COVID-19 restrictions. But nevertheless, I hope everyone is safe and healthy, and I look forward for a very fruitful discussion today. May I kindly introduce myself? My name is Taufan Samudra. I am a researcher at the ASEAN Studies Program of the Habibie Center, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar on the topic of South Korea in the perspective of millennial generation in Bandung. As a background, this has been the third year of our collaboration with the Korea Foundation, with Surabaya as our targeted location in 2021 and Jakarta in 2020. May I also use this opportunity to express our gratitude as we are joined by the head of Regional Government and Autonomy Bureau of the Regional Secretariat of West Java Province, Pak Dodit Ardian Pancapana. Good afternoon, Pak. Thank you for coming and replacing Pak Ridwan Kamil, who was unfortunately unable to attend due to prior engagements. We are also joined by His Excellency, the former Indonesian ambassador to South Korea in 2017 until 2021. Pak Umar Hadi, good afternoon, Pak. Welcome to our webinar.
Good afternoon, Pak Taufan.
Next, we also have the Vice Chairman of Kadin in West Java, Pak Hadi Cokro Dimejo. Thank you for coming, Pak.
Yeah, thank you.
And lastly, we also joined by our Director of Program, Ibu Julia Novrita. Good afternoon, Bu.
Good afternoon, Taufan.
Now, to have a comprehensive discussion on this very interesting study, our researcher, Ms. Marina Ikasari, will begin this discussion with presenting our findings along the conduct of this survey. But before we begin, I would like to explain on technicalities of this webinar. This webinar will be featured with 3 separate sessions. The first session, we will have Pak Dodit and Ibu Julia Novrita to kickstart our discussion today with their opening remarks, followed by presentations from Ms. Marina Ikasari, Pak Umar Hadi, and Pak Hadi as our distinguished speakers. And lastly, we will have a Q&A session from our viewers on YouTube. As you may know, this discussion is also currently live streamed on our YouTube channel. So for all of the questions can be typed on our YouTube's live chat feature, and I will read it out loud later on. Now, I would like to invite Ibu Julia to give her opening remark to kickstart our discussion today. Please, Bu, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Taufan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. And on behalf of the Habibie Center, I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Dodit Ardian Pancapana, His Excellency Ambassador Umar Hadi, and Mr. Hadi Cokro Dimejo, and all distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, to our webinar on the launching public opinion survey, South Korea in the perspective of the Bandung Millennial Generation. The Habibie Center highly appreciate the generous support of the Korea Foundation for making this research possible. And a big thanks, of course, to our research team, especially Ms. Marina Ikasari, Mr. Bawono Kumoro, and Mr. Taufan Samudra, who were fully in charge in implementing the survey and presenting us the findings today. We know South Korea and Indonesia has a long established bilateral relationship since 1973. And this was further strengthened into the Special Strategic Partnership in 2017 and Indonesia-Korea Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement in December 2020. And these efforts demonstrate a strong commitment from both countries to promote people-to-people ties even more after the COVID-19 pandemic. In this case, the millennials generation as the productive age group in our society today, who can actively maintain and strengthen the bilateral cooperation between Indonesia and South Korea. Indeed, this research in Bandung is the extension of the previous research in Jakarta in 2020 and Surabaya in 2021, which highlights the interactions of millennials generation with South Korea. This includes their perceptions of the country, the people, the culture, the technology, the products, as well as their views about Indonesia and South Korea bilateral relationship and how it was developed. We hope this research would be useful for many relevant parties, both from public and private sectors, particularly the policymakers, where they could use the findings as the reference in designing policies that further promote a stronger bilateral relations Indonesia and South Korea. On that note, I'm really honored to declare this webinar is officially open with the launching of public opinion survey, South Korea in the perspective of the Bandung Millennial Generation. May we all have a fruitful discussion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Julia, for your kind remarks. Now, I would like to invite Pak Dodit to give his speech as a keynote speaker to begin our discussion today. Please, Pak Dodit, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Excellency Pak Umar Hadi, maybe you forget me, but actually several times we've met, maybe a couple of years ago. Honorable Bu Julia Novrita, and then also Pak Moderator, Pak Taufan, also Pak Hadi from Kadin, Miss Marina, Ikasari, and then also Pak Bawono Kumoro and Bu Fania Chandraja. I'm really honored. Even it is actually, I just represent Mr. Ridwan Kamil, who at this time he attend another meeting in Cirebon. I'm really honored to have communication or have kind of interaction, indirect interaction with Habibie Center. A couple of years ago, I was invited by the son of Mr. Habibie. The son of Mr. Habibie invited as the alumni of German universities, and also we had a 3 days event in Yogyakarta along with sorry, I forget the name, the son of Pak Habibie. Regarding cooperation between Indonesia and South Korea, in the scope of West Java, actually a couple of years ago, I remember in Bandung City we had a kind of Korean Culture Week. Why the organizer select Korea as one friendly country to carry out a kind of festival? It is because we know the trend. We know the trend that in Bandung City, most of the young generation, the teenager, they really love the culture of Korea, or we call it K-pop. At the time, we've seen the demo of taekwondo, the demo of K-pop song, and many things all related to the Korean culture at that time. So it was a whole fruitful Korean Culture Week carried out in Bandung as a capital of West Java. And then also at the level of the province, we still remember previously Bandung City, government of West Java, we had several sister province. We had several sister province, like from China, we have 3 or 4 sister province. We had also sister province from Australia. It is South Australia with the capital of Adelaide. We had also some sister provinces from even from Africa, even from Europe in Belgium and some other places. And then couple years ago, as Mr. Ridwan Kamil became the governor of West Java, he decided to have another sister province, which is one from Korea, South Korea. If I'm not mistaken, the name is Chungnambu. It's quite difficult to mention. Chungnam, something like that. Why it is selected? It is because from the vision of Mr. Ridwan Kamil, one of the most important country as a friend and has a very good relationship in terms of culture, in terms of trade, in terms of many activities, is the South Korea. And finally, in 2020, we have an MOU between West Java and Chungnam. That is why starting from that time on, we have several communication, several cooperation, and even during the COVID peak in 2021 with the Delta variant, the province also assisted us a lot, and of course it is because very good relationship, and also it is facilitated by Pak Umar Hadi's team as well. And one other thing, dear audience, that during the COVID itself, we really experienced that some sectors which help West Java to survive is the trade, which is export. And from the data itself, we can see during the COVID, some industry from West Java, from Karawang, and then from Bekasi, and from Purwakarta as well, they remaining the figures of export to the whole world. And many of those manufacturers, many from the industry are coming from the Korea. So they are Korean origin companies. So I think it is correct for Habibie Center to learn or to study about this trend, what happened, the kind of relationship between West Java and Korea at this time, because I think we believe that it is a very good mutual benefit relationship between West Java and South Korea, and more focusing maybe between Bandung as well and South Korea. So I believe this seminar would give some inputs for us to have more fruitful relationship in the future. And we really wish that in the future, Pak Umar Hadi's team maintaining the excellent facilitating process for West Java to have good communication with South Korea. Thank you very much, Pak Umar Hadi's team, Excellency Ambassador. Also, thank you very much, Bu Julia. Thank you very much, Mas Taufan Samudra from Habibie Center. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Pak Dodit, for the keynote speech and giving us a full background of the sister city cooperation between Bandung, Seoul, and so on. As I believe a lot of us have been waiting for the discussion to commence, I would like to invite Mbak Marina to present our opinion survey findings. Mbak Marina, I hand over the screen to you, please.
Thank you, Taufan. Good afternoon, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Marina. I'm a researcher at the Habibie Center. Today, I'm representing the Habibie Center team to present the public opinion survey report on South Korea from the perspective of the Bandung Millennial Generation. In this presentation, it will be divided into several parts, including the background, the survey methodology, demographic profile of respondents, and the findings of the public opinion survey itself. First, for the background, as we know that Indonesia and South Korea established their diplomatic relations in 1973, and in 2017, both countries signed the Special Strategic Partnership. In the same year, President of South Korea, Moon Jae-in, launched the new Southern policy to strengthen relations with ASEAN member states, including Indonesia. This policy put forward the three P's approach, which are people, prosperity, and peace. The policy then evolved into the new Southern Policy Plus in 2020 to address the COVID-19 pandemic. In response, the Habibie Center conducted a public opinion survey of the Bandung Millennial Generation to follow the previous survey in Surabaya and Jakarta. We want to gauge public perceptions of South Korea from various aspects in a major city beyond Jakarta. Bandung has been chosen given it's the third largest city in Indonesia, and it has also been collaborating with Suwon and Seoul through the sister city programs. The results of the survey are expected to assist policymakers in formulating better strategies to enhance cooperation between the two countries in the future. For the methodology, 400 people aged between 20 until 39 years living in Bandung were chosen as respondents of the survey because they are assumed to be of productive age and will have vital roles in the future. We use a stratified random sampling technique to analyze the data, and for data collection, trained enumerators or surveyors carried out face-to-face interviews from 24 until 31st March 2022. For the demographic profile of respondents, starting from gender, the comparison is 50% female and 50% male, with most in the age range of 20 until 24 years old, and more than half of the respondents are married. And for the ethnic, more than 90% are Sundanese. As we can see here, 1/3 of respondents are employees, and mostly they work in the private sector. Regarding the expenditure per month, more than half of the respondents spend 1 to 3 million in a month. Now we move on to the public opinion survey findings from various aspects of the Indonesia-South Korea partnership, including economic, social, cultural, political, and bilateral ties. Before asking respondents in Bandung about their perception of South Korea, we asked them the first thing that comes to their minds about South Korea. And the top two answers were Korean dramas and Korean food, with 25% and 18.3% respectively. 3/4 of respondents know about South Korea through art and culture. In this part, we can see that the Bandung millennials' experience of interaction and visiting South Korea. Surprisingly, none of the respondents in Bandung have had experience visiting South Korea, mostly due to financial reasons. Moreover, the majority of respondents admitted that they have never had first-hand experience interacting with South Koreans. Only 8% of respondents who had experience interacting with South Koreans through their colleagues. Next is perceptions of South Korea as a country. Half of the respondents, reaching just over 50%, agreed with the statement that South Korea's economy is advanced. technology in South Korea is advanced, and Korean culture is popular abroad. However, less than 50% of the respondents agreed that the social and political life of South Korea is democratic. Aside from that, we also asked respondents about the national characteristic of Koreans. More than 45% agreed that South Koreans are friendly, and 51% agreed that South Koreans have a high level of discipline. Even for the statement of South Koreans as hard workers, just about 60% agreed with the statement. We also explored millennials' interest in various products of South Korea. More than 50% of respondents in Bandung were interested and were very interested in Korean food. Most of them consume Korean food once a month in the past month. When talking about their interest in Korean dramas or movies, more than half of the respondents were interested and were very interested. Most of them watch Korean movies or dramas once a month in the past month. Here is a cross-tabulation chart between gender and interest in Korean drama or movies variables, which denotes those who were interested and very interested are female. In contrast, about 65% of the respondents were not interested in K-pop music, with only less than 30% being interested. Those who were interested said that they listened to K-pop songs every day in the past month. Regarding Korean electronic and automotive products, more than 70% and 95% of the millennials expressed their interest in the products respectively, with the top reason of good quality. However, it turns out that the percentage of respondents who were not interested and who were interested in Korean fashion and cosmetic products are higher with significant differences, as you can see on the chart. Furthermore, regarding preferences on whether they favor Korean dramas or movies, language, fashion, cosmetics, electronic, and automotive products compared to these things from other countries, the number of respondents who agreed and disagreed was quite balanced, with only slight differences. These findings indicate that respondents also consider dramas or movies, foreign languages, and products from other countries beyond Korea. After explaining the economic and social cultural issues, I'm going to touch on hard issues related to Indonesia, South Korea bilateral relations. Just about 95% of respondents assessed that bilateral ties between both countries are good and very good. It's also in line with the statements of the benefit of both countries' partnership. More than half of the respondents agreed and strongly agreed with the statement. There were three main areas of cooperation expected to be enhanced between Indonesia and South Korea in the future, chosen by the respondents, such as economy, technology, and education sectors. Now, talking specifically about the sister city programs between Bandung Seoul and Bandung Suwon, unfortunately, the millennials in Bandung are not well informed about the sister city cooperation. Only 20% and 4% of the respondents know about Bandung Seoul and Bandung Suwon sister city programs successfully, and mostly they know from social media. The number of millennials who knew and didn't know about the existence of Little Seoul in Bandung was also balanced. It's one of the implementation of the sister city program. Of those who answered no, almost 70% have visited Little Seoul, considered a new tourist spot for the main reason. And last but not least, we also raised questions about Bandung's economic creative products that could be leading commodity products to export to South Korea. The top three answers from the respondents were culinary, fashion, and snack products. To sum up, here are the main findings of the survey. First, despite most of respondents having minimal experience in interacting directly with South Koreans or in terms of their experience of visiting South Korea, in general, the Bandung Millennial Generation has a positive perception of South Korea. Second, most respondents representing in the Bandung Millennial Generation also considered that the bilateral ties between two countries have been going well. However, if you look at the cooperation in intercity level, most of them have no idea about the specific cooperation between Bandung Suwon or Bandung Seoul. Third, Indonesia and South Korea could deepen their future cooperation in three areas chosen by the respondents, such as economy, technology, and education sectors. That's all about the survey result. And for your information, the full version of the report will be uploaded to the Habibie Center website soon. So don't forget to check it out to our website. I'll stop here. Thank you for your attention. Over to you, Tovan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marina, for the very interesting presentation. Now, if I may, I would like to give the screen to His Excellency, Pak Umar Hadi. Please, the screen is yours, Pak.
Thank you very much, Mas Tovan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang saya hormati Pak Dodit, senang bisa ketemu lagi Pak. Pak Hadi dari Kadin, tentunya Ibu Julia, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Habibie Center for the results of the research that has been conducted on the perception of the millennials in the city of Bandung about South Korea. I have observed very attentively to the findings of the research, and I found it very interesting and quite, let's just say, quite. Let's say I have seen some gaps in perceptions. I have three comments on the findings of the research. Number one, to me, these perceptions of the millennials, it seems to me it represents more on the success of the Korean Hallyu, right? Because of the Korean drama and films that are very popular nowadays among Indonesians. So it seems to me that most people, especially the millennials in Bandung City, perhaps the respondents, would get their information mostly from what they watch on their smartphones, maybe through YouTube or Netflix, whatever. So I think, and we should understand that the Korean wave is actually a global phenomena. It is not only in Indonesia, but in many parts of the world. However, it has been proven that Indonesia is currently the largest market for Korean cultural products, especially Korean drama, film, and K-pop. I think today number one market is Indonesia, number two is Vietnam. Previously in the year 2000s, it was China was the biggest market, but now Indonesia is the biggest market. So that's why Indonesia today is very, very important for Korea. So that's my number one observation. So it seems to me the perception is very much a representation of the success of the Korean wave, right? Number two, it seems to me there is a gap in tracking down how people-to-people contacts are emerging. Because I have a very quite a valid data. Actually, today the Korean nationals are the largest foreign nationals living in Indonesia. The number. So the official figure of Korean nationals living in Indonesia is about 50,000, but actually the informal figure is more than 100,000 people. So there are so many Koreans living in Indonesia. And actually Bandung is one of the places where they live. And they have been living there since a long time ago, since the early 70s. And I have met a lot of young Koreans in their 20s, early 30s, who are actually born in the city of Bandung or around Bandung city. I think Pak Dodit also know one of them. I think his name is Lee Gidong Jaka, the owner of Bali Bistro in Seoul, who was born in Bandung. We talk about Little Bandung. Little Bandung is in that place, in his restaurant, the Bali Bistro. So, and these Koreans living in Indonesia, they are different from other nationals. If we look at how, let's take Japanese people living in Indonesia. When they came to Indonesia back in the 70s or 80s, they came here as expatriates, as employees of big companies like Toyota or Suzuki, whatever. So they live here for a short period of time, 3 years, 5 years, and they return to Japan. But the first wave of Korean migrants to Indonesia, they came to Indonesia and they lived here for a long time, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And they become locals. So actually, if we look close enough, you may find people, even young people in Bandung, who would have interaction with Koreans who have been living in Indonesia for a long, long time. So that's my second observation. And if you look at the number, let's say 100,000, let's say living in Bandung, about, I don't know, 10,000 people, it seems to me quite a big number. And lately, I also noticed that more and more young Koreans coming to Indonesia as what they call it, digital nomads. So because the living cost in Seoul and in Seoul especially is very, very high. So these young people who do digital work with startups and so on, they choose to live in Indonesia, in Bandung, in Bali, because it's much cheaper to live while still doing their online jobs and their digital work. So that's my second observation. Now, number three, my last observation is about perception. It is very, I find it everywhere. Most people would look at Korea nowadays as a country with K-pop, K-drama, culture. This is part of their success in a way, because by design, they want to push for a more service-oriented industry and lifestyle industry, right? culture-based industry. But actually, until today, the main backbone of Korean economy is still manufacturing. Korea is still #1 producer country for example, semiconductor. Today, Korea is still produce the largest number of, for example, a lithium battery. Also, in petrochemical, Korea has the largest capacity of refinery, although they don't have any oil for themselves, but they can refine so many oil. So that's why their petrochemical industry is very strong. And Korea also one of the largest producer for steel. So manufacturing is still the backbone of the Korean economy. But by design, they want to transform their economy into a more service-based. And now with the digital economy, they want to push into that. And then lately, they also want to push more on the green economy. So, so in part, it's part of the success, but then also in terms of perception from the public, sometimes people forget that about the strong points of Korea. Therefore, in terms of how we should promote further cooperation between Indonesia and South Korea, and in this case West Java and Chungcheong Namdo, or Bandung and Seoul and Suwon City, I think, and I have been talking about this many times, we should push for more cooperation in the field of research and innovation. This is a very strong point in Korea. You have to understand that the strength of Korean products and Korean companies are in innovation. Why Korean drama is very strong now globally? Because they do so many research, they do so many innovation in terms of production. Right? I know a little bit about filmmaking because I have some experience in filmmaking. So I know the equipments you use. When you have better equipment, well, of course, storyline has to be good, script writing has to be good, but that equipments also matter. But also innovating in storyline is very important. Therefore, I hope the government of West Java, government of Bandung, and overall government of Indonesia would push more on the innovation side. Actually, today, President Joko Widodo is in Seoul. I think he just wrapped up his bilateral meeting with President Yoon. Today is 28th, right? And aside from the usual economic cooperation like trade, investment, and so on and so forth, we also push more on the research and innovation side of cooperation. So thank you very much, Pak Taufan. Once again, congratulations for Ibu Marina and the team of researchers on this research. I would really like to read the whole report and see if I can have more notes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, His Excellency, for the very, very insightful comments. I particularly highlight when you say that the Korean culture is just the tip, like the backbone of the economy is actually manufacturing, and research and innovation should be explored for Indonesia and South Korea cooperation in the future. Totally agree with you on that. Before we continue, may I gently remind the viewers that the questions could be written in our chats feature on YouTube, and I will read them out loud at the Q&A session later. Now, I would like to invite Pak Hadi to take the screen for your presentation. Please, Pak Hadi, the screen is yours.
Yeah, Pak. One moment. I'll switch to my what do you call it? Yeah. Okay. I think this will be okay. Yeah. Yeah. Here, Mr. Here, all the ladies and gentlemen in this meeting. I'm Hadi from Kadin, Jawa Barat. Yeah. And responsible for business development based on applied technology. Yeah. And this afternoon, maybe I'd like to share some hints, some information about the cooperation, the potential market, and others industry development in Indonesia, especially in West Java, and then how we can make for the futures. One moment. Yeah, apologize. I also doing the parallel thing with the Ministry of Education, just halt for reviewing the research for applied research matching fund. Yeah, Indonesia, as we know, please next, or if you could go to the next page and quickly. Yeah, Indonesia is have around 260 to 270 million people and growing middle class increase, is GDP almost $1 trillion. Indonesia is attract all the eyes of investors for grabbing the share of massive, rapidly growing market. Yeah, with large tropical climate, Indonesia rich in natural resources, oil, gas, mineral, timber, raw and semi-transfer agriculture products. But now we need to increase more to have to be a one big 10 economic in the world in the year 2045. But we still lack of technology, small, medium enterprise capability, and lack of human resource ability and skill. Next, please. Next. Yeah. Export Indonesia trade data. Yeah, still heavily reliant upon the material and semi-transformed product, which we need to increase, not depend on raw material, but more in processing material like processing food and other stuff. Yeah. Export is 2016 is $124 billion, now increase, mainly goods, oil, gas, cement, food, electrical appliance, construction, plywood, textile, and rubber. Next. And then import, we still a lot of import from South Korea is 6.7%, yeah, and then still quite large of export now from China. Yeah. Why Indonesia? We have GDP $1 trillion nominal, population is a 260 to 270 million with 44% under 25. Is a EUDP ranking has improved, yeah, over the 5 years. And then the fourth most productive investment destination, the fifth highest number of internet users globally, and the second most biodiversity country in the world. It means we get a lot of potential for research and development, like food, in medicine, and others because of our biodiversity. Next, please. And then top 20 GDP current prices now is number 16. Yeah, from the G20, and we are home for the G20 B20 meeting in November 2022. Next. And now it's fully rated as investment grade country. Yeah. And then next, next please, we move to the next page. Indonesian economy is actually to shift towards service sectors. Yeah, from the year 2015 to 2030. We have a total GDP sector, historical and forecast, yeah, move toward service and transport, storage, communication, 10.1, trade, retail, hospitality, and then construction. Also, we have four area, yeah, transport, storage, communication, trades, retail, hospitality, and construction is increase a lot. Next. Yeah, since 2015, 16 economic policy package have been introduced to attract more investment in predictable which is the incentive for labor-intensive industry, shorter dwelling time, negative list of investment reform, easier visa, work and permits processing, property incentive, lower electricity, improvement to infrastructures, land acquisition, affordable housing, and logistics. Yeah. And we also introduced the one-line single submission as an online system with data sharing. Yeah, in the government is improved a lot for the bureaucracy and the system. Promising sectors in lifestyle industry is shifting from good base to leisure consumption, yeah, consumer lifestyle, from good to experiences, travel to relief. Tourism also increase a lot, more economical tourism and travel effect. Yeah, Indonesia middle class spending mostly growth in more than 100% in financial services, food, beverage, leisure, apparel, education, transport, and telecom, beauty, cosmetic, and healthcare. Yeah, a lot of increment. And then supporting our booming consumer class, yeah, below consuming class, and consuming class is also increased a lot. Yeah, so you see in 2020, 260 million, and consuming class is 85 million. In 230, almost 100, almost half. Yeah, half of the population is consuming class. And year 2000, 30, also will increase to more. Yeah, more than half. Travel and tourism also growth faster. Global according to then the GDP growth, our people spending almost $10 billion for tourism outside, and then maybe around $1 billion inside. So during the pandemic, also we got a loss of many tourism, and with us also try to develop more tourism village, yeah, to increase more people coming and to increase domestic tourism. Indonesia in digital economy also grows rapidly. We have Gojek, Traveloka, OVO, and others. Massive teach for savvy population, yeah, 143 million active user, and then 106 million social media user. It means the contents business, the creative business is a lot. Gaming and the contents also from Korea. I think Korea and Japan and other countries, a lot of game and application here that have been used. The digital economy expected to reach 150 billion US dollar in 2025. Yeah, our startups next, please. Also, we got some big 10, yeah, Grab, Gojek, Tokopedia, Traveloka, Bukalapak, and others. Yeah, and then valuation is increased. Yeah, really Gojek for almost 4 billion US dollar, Tokopedia 7 billion, and many in ICT industry. Tourism hubs. The government, I think, supporting for developing 10 new Balis. We target 20 million foreign tourists. We are still not really good in ASEAN. Number one, I suppose Singapore, and then Thailand for 40 million tourism, then Malaysia, and Vietnam, and then Indonesia. So but our potentiality is really massive and very beautiful. The problem of accessibility, the skill of tourist guide, and the system information need to improve. Yeah, we are facing a lot more in human capital investment, yeah, which we thought is the key. Yeah, we need to have much better than our performance today. Yeah, below South Africa and Philippines. We need to move forward. Now, that's what our Kadin Indonesia working, also Kadin West Java is really working hard for revitalization of vocational education. So Kadin is one of the focal point of new Perpres 68 for revitalization of vocational education and training. Yeah. So we hope after this Perpres, we could working together with the Ministry of Manpower, the Ministry of Education and Research, Ministry of Industry, and Ministry of other ministry investment to increase our human resource in vocational field. Yeah. We need vocational graduates in the food and agriculture, energy, tourism, creative industry, maritime, And that way, I think South Korea very strong in creative industry, yeah, and then food and processing. So we could do a lot, yeah, for creative industry, ICT, engineering. In maritime also, South Korea is very advanced, and also in food processing and packaging. So what can industry do? Develop vocational, arrange a joint curriculum, offer lectures and internship. Yeah. So in West Java, we develop a lot of West Java corridor to boost export, especially in the north part of West Java. Yeah, we have around 38 industrial region. It's 40% or 35% industrial region exclusive zone in West Java, compared to all Indonesia 121 industrial region, so 35% in West Java. Yeah, we have some investors nowadays. It's mostly, I think Singapore is still in the first position, Japan, China, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Netherlands, South Korea, number 7. So we need more investor coming. Yeah, thanks to this condition also that I think Hyundai is starting investment around 10 billion US dollars for electric vehicle in Karawang, yeah, which we hope all the other industry, high technology, semiconductor also could be invested in here. So we have Singapore, Japan, China, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Netherlands, and South Korea, number 7. So we give 5 common challenge faced by investor in Indonesia. There are some problem normally people complain for regulation, tax incentive, land acquisition, skilled labor, foreign worker, and public infrastructures. This is what Kadin and the government working hard to push for omnibus law for regulation, and then super tax reduction for lower tax, and then easier for land acquisition, and give more skilled labor and foreign workers. Yeah, and public infrastructure need to be developed a lot in industry. Yeah, where to invest? We have a lot, yeah, a lot of economic zones. Yeah, so basically all Indonesia, throughout Indonesia, we have 131, in West Java 32. So there are 11 special economic zones from Arun, say petrochemical logistics, wood paper, and Semengkai palm oil, also in Mandalika tourism, Tanjung Lesung, and others. Yeah, yeah, you know the trends in the world, yeah, for urbanization, digitization, industrialization. So it's also our problem for Indonesia. Our people in city live more people in the city, and digitalize economic and the conversion to digital transform in all aspects and industrialize, which means we need a lot of electric, more digitized, more decarbonized, and more decentralized. That's why we need a lot of cooperation with other industrial country. So the government, the Ministry of Industrial and Trade with Kadin, also we thought for developing Industry 4.0 initiative. Yeah, and then first we got a lot people population 260. Next, please, 260 million people in population, and active mobile user is 130. Yeah, 130 million people active mobile social user. Internet user is 150 million, and active social media is 150. Yeah. So yeah, next. Yeah, next. We know there are many disruptive on technologies like mobility, mobile apps, cloud computing, big data, social media, and Internet of Things. Yeah, advanced robotics, or increased robot for extend sense, dexterity, intelligence, used to automate tasks and augment humans, also for manufacturers and medical, advanced material, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and others. So this thing is also our problem here, how to increase our ability, knowledge, and implementation of this, that I suppose Korea having very advanced and well-centered research for this. And machine learning and others also in many system in the industry there. So next, please. Then IoT for productivity, yeah, in many manufacturers. The robot has been introduced with IoT connection to make easy for remote monitoring, for checking the problem detection, sensor, and others application. Yeah. Next, robots is playing a critical role in factory for the future. yeah, for efficient in every level, reliable, available, integrated ecosystem, flexible, agile. So we got ABB working for this, and but I suppose Korean University also starting. I think there is electric plant vehicle will use this next. Yeah, then smart factory is there for agile production, much more dynamic for process, equipment, organization, and people. And then transforming workforce. Next, please. Yeah. Factoring also for mindset change for workers and management, task redesign, and then mindset shift from operator to problem solver. So this also based on digital technologies. Okay, next. Now, Indonesia having this has the aspiration to be a global top 10 economy by 2030. Yeah, the next growth engine must be not export. Yeah, we need to develop hard to be the number 10 in 2030. So we can revive the Indonesian manufacturing sector. Then we need to make a Indonesian 4.0 initiative. Yeah, basically to revive industrial sector, replace the exporter position, improve country financial, enhance investment, and build robust economy. And we got a common issues, 10 common issues. First is raw material and critical part are highly import. That's we need to improve. Absence of comprehensive industry zoning plan, sustainable trend are no longer for developed economies, and more than 60% of our workers are working at small, medium, micro enterprise and with I think low skill labor. And digital platforms need to be increased. Our FDI also is flattening. Indonesia fourth largest working population and still very low in limited R&D spending and no comprehensive incentive and overcomplicated regulation. That's why we need omnibus law. We have 5 area which is need investor and cooperation. Our potentiality is big in food and beverage. It's actually number 1. The business in food beverage during the pandemic is high increase, and then having a lot of people working there. Yeah, and then potentiality is huge. And the second, textile and apparel, automotive, electronics, and chemical. So these 5 area which really big opportunity in Indonesia for working with South Korea and other industrial country, yeah? Like in automotive, we are number 7 after Thailand, I suppose. And then electronics, we got a lot of talented and then use for consumer goods. Yeah, making Indonesia is trigger immediate actions with low-term aspiration by focusing sectors. Yeah, or we need in 5 those area. We need to have R&D and capex tech exemption, investor roadshow, developing vocational school and SME support. Yeah, we need these 4 things. Yeah, immediate action to support these 5 area that we thought our main ability, our potentiality for time being, for also for the future. Yeah, investment in Indonesia is growing, and then I think also in West Java is quite big. Yeah, almost increase every year 10-15%. Yeah. There are investment from other country. Yeah, in 2018 in electricity and gas and water, and then property, mining, transportation, and then what do you call it, and others industrial metal. Yeah, next. So we have a problem for the what do you call it, the threat. Yeah, the threat is the problem is the lower access of regional government to a financial institution, and shortage of expert for international agreement and complex financial agreement, and still less efficient of process management investment, and then mitigation risk, which is still not really good. So we need the regulation for this, for capacity building, project preparation, and the governance, improvement governance of administration. Yeah, we have Also, there are many financial support for the infrastructures, yeah, from finance market, and then from grant, from loan, from multilateral bank cooperation, environmental fund, and then from our national budget. Yeah, global competitive index still, yeah, is medium grade, but we need to improve a lot. Next. Now, please, next, please. Next. Issue strategic. Yeah, next. Yeah, there are strategic issues priority national. First, from the lower of economic added value from what do you call it, agriculture result, fishery and forestry, and less optimum of productivity. It will not really productive, and then low added value, yeah, added value of industry and the competitiveness, and then lower, still very low for technological what do you call it, yeah, involvement for innovation, and then to increase the productivity and generating more added values. Okay. Yeah, we have many flagship in the many ministry, yeah, for contribution of which more having big impact, prioritization, innovation, and more specific. Yeah, next. The investment normally interested to invest their capital if we get a good regulation, yeah, easiest process in regulation, the fix, and then the availability of human resource skillful, and then the guarantee of sustainability and peaceful condition in the investment, and then the corridor on the threshold of tariff for this operational expenditure. This is a set of say automotive, yeah, or we are moving toward the electric, hybrid, and toward the next generation cars. Next, please. Next. So market profile Indonesia is GDP. We have the 1.1 billion US dollar, and then per capita is 3,859. Economic structure is in terms of GDP, yeah, in terms of GDP, agriculture, industry, and service. Yeah. External trade also 37.5%. Currency Indonesian rupiah is stable. Political system is multi-party republic, religion Muslim dominant and 10% Catholic. Population increased to 265 to 670, and the majority of people in median age or productive. Land area 1.8 million square kilometers. Yeah. Next. Yeah, I think next. Yeah, next. I think we move to last page. Yeah, to this. I think we shifted that. Yeah. Go to Korean versus Indonesia. Oops. Oh my God.
Hello, Pak Hadi. Is there any technical difficulties? Probably. Hello. Okay, I think Pak Hadi is currently having technical difficulties. So probably we could move on to our Q&A session. Should Pak Hadi come back and would want to continue his presentation, then I believe all of us would be pleased if he wanted to come and continue with his presentation. But now, since we already come to the Q&A session, and I also have a lot of questions from the researcher at the Habibie Center as well as from the YouTube. The first one, if I may, is for Pak Dodit. Since earlier during your keynote speech, you were talking about oops, sorry. I think we already have Pak Hadi again here.
Yeah. Sorry, I will finish first for the last.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
For
Yes,
the
please,
last presentation, last speech. Bentar, Pak, saya share. Is there this?
Yes, but we can see it
Okay.
very clearly now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Please carry on.
Yeah, follow. Just remaining 3 pages. Yeah, this Korean versus Indonesia, mainly in automation. Automation, Hyundai, Kaya, we are having a lot of products here, textile, garments, shoes, agro products. And then shipping, we knew Daewoo active in here, mining, coal, there are GM technology, telecommunication, Samsung, LG is very popular with us, home electronics, healthcare, food, and even the food and the film, food, and then all the cultures also coming, K-pop here, herbal, military equipment. So we have also consumer item, fashion, beauty, heavy equipment, automation tools, IT, hardware, health, medical, baby, with toys and gift, food, beverage, especially others. Yeah, there are many potential investment to export and in the local market. Yeah, say we need a cooperation, say in IC industry, yeah, AC industry, semiconductor for electronics, for system manufacturers, and then nanotechnology, IoT sensor. We need a lot of sensor in agriculture, also in other aspect, smart home, smart office. We hope there is a investment for this industry. Mobile phone, I think very advanced there. So soon we have Foxconn investment in semiconductor in Batam. And then home appliance, yeah, we got a lot of product. Hopefully the plan of industry shifted to Indonesia. Also, we could have R&D strong here. ICT, hardware, software, PC, server, laptop, data center. Also, the potential is very big. Shipping, small boat, coast guard, military, electric car, electric vehicle starting, medical health equipment, or imaging stuff, or X-ray, CT scan, MRI, robotic surgery, which also demanding the next in the future, and machinery for control system artillery. And I think that's all, Mr. Taufan, for our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Hadi, for your very insightful presentation. And yeah, it's a shame a bit that you have faced technical difficulties earlier, but I'm so glad that the presentation could be finally eventually addressed accordingly. And yeah, I think from your presentation, I could sum up that the presentation is really giving us mapped out elaboration of the challenges and potential for Indonesia's cooperation in the future. And we are very glad to have that insights for our discussion today. Ladies and gentlemen, now we could turn to the Q&A session. We already have a few questions already from our participants and which are already pulled in on my notes here. The first one is for Pak Dodit, if I may, Pak. Since you were referring and talking a bit about the sister city cooperation in Bandung, we also found quite a gap between the people who really acknowledge sister city cooperation and from the people who actually don't know about the sister city cooperation. But when we're talking about, even when we're talking about Little Seoul, for example, we found that many of them don't know about the existence of Little Seoul. But when we ask whether they want to go, and they were very interested and have a very high willingness to actually go there. So in this case, are there any strategies that the Bandung government would implement to kind of raise the awareness of the existence of both sister city cooperation as well as the Little Seoul as the destination? And if I may as well, the second question also for Pak Dodit, we also know that there has been like a Korean Culture Days in 2018 that really exhibit Korean culture for the Bandung society, Bandung community, and I believe the feedbacks were very positive with a lot of people, Bandung people, coming in. Is there any plan to revitalize that event again? Because when we were doing our research, many of them were talking about this fair. Maybe those are the two questions, if I may, Pak Dodit, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions, Pak Taufan Samudra. Actually, what we have done in 2000, it was 2018, 19. I'm sorry, I forget. It was Korean Culture Days, Korean Culture Weeks. So where we have a strong, kind of ads about Korean culture to the millennial or young people of Bandung City. It is because actually we had a strategy to involve the communities in many activities carried out by the local government. But sorry, not to be mistaken, I'm working for the provincial government. But in the past, I worked for the Bandung City government. So I knew a bit, but I don't know the latest update, the latest development about the strategy of Bandung City. However, what we understand, West Java Province and Bandung City, we work together in terms of course, in this kind of para diplomacy, the sister province, sister cities, along with Korea, for example, we have similar frequency that we are working together, collaborating with communities, with the young people, and also with some universities, like from Unpad University, and also some what do you call it? Many languages able communities. What do you call it? No, Indigo. I forget the name of those communities. They speak a lot of languages. So
Polyglot.
And
Polyglot,
what
was
is
it? Polyglot.
Yes, polyglot. Yes, polyglot. Indigo. Polyglot. Yes, the polyglot, and we work together with them. And fortunately, among those young generation, most of them speak Korean. So I think there is a very good opportunity to us to revitalize as your idea, excellent idea, Pak Tovan Samudra. So I think in the future we could collaborate with Habibie Center as well as the Embassy of Indonesia in Korea, and also even Korean community who work in West Java, even some Korean families who lives in Bandung as well. So I think if it is a question about the next strategy, I think that is the point. We work together with communities. Thank you for the feedback, by the way, Pak Topan and Bu Marina.
Thank you so much, Pak Dodit, for your insightful answer. If I may, we also have another question. This is, I guess, a part of it has been already explained by Pak Dodit and also His Excellency Pak Umar Hadi, as well as Pak Hadi, on the potential collaboration for Bandung and Seoul and so on, and in the local level, or also Indonesia and South Korea as a bilateral level. Maybe if anyone would want to start first to kind of talk about the sectors, the potential sectors for these two countries to start the cooperation, please.
Recording in progress.
Maybe if I may, Pak Hadi could start first on this question. Pak Hadi? Excuse me, Pak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so there is a question. The question is already actually elaborated a bit on your presentation as well. But are there any like sectoral specific sectors for Indonesia and South Korea to collaborate in the future that is very potential and beneficial for both countries?
Yeah, in my opinion, for this creative industry, contents development for cellular, and then for ICT, for the urban telecoms, and then internet for the village, and then the cheapest system for rural area, urban area, high-speed internet. I think will be very potential. Yeah, we need this in all the villages, and I think Korea having a good system for this technology for ICT system in the rural urban area, and then for developing of the contents of game creative industry, we need to learn. Yeah, we need to learn and how to develop our local content, which is also very good. Korea, I think, with the starting of advanced technology and people following this the culture, and then know the food. Yeah, so we got also how to produce a such good appearance and packaging food in Korea. Also, we need to study. Yeah, for packaging food, branding, I think we need to study a lot. And in other electronics technology, electronics industry, in the next 5-10 years, we will have shortage of IC, yeah, because mainly IC production is in Taiwan, Korea, south of China and Japan. Yeah, so we hope we could having a foundry for a semiconductor here, and we have electronic industry for home appliance, and then for medical, very potential here, because our import for medical health is huge. Yeah, maybe 10 billion US dollar more every year. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Hadi, for your answer. His Excellency Pak Umar Hadi, if I may, do you have any comments on the question? As I recall from your earlier presentation that research and innovation is one of the sectors that could be explored further, but maybe there are any other specific sectors for Indonesia and South Korea to cooperate in the future? Pak, please.
I agree with all Pak Hadi suggested on the digital side, but I also would like to add on, I think Pak Hadi also mentioned about food, all kinds of technology innovation on food production, food packaging, and then distribution, how to prolong shelf and storage of food. That's very important. Remember, Indonesia is still in dire need of protein, the source of protein. In Korea, there are a lot of research and innovation on superfood, for example. We do need that kind of food technology. And then also on the energy sector, we still need a lot of innovation in terms of green, new and renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, His Excellency Pak Umar Hadi. Pak Dodit, if you have any comments, if not, okay, then since we've already addressed all the questions that we've already pulled in, I think we have come to the latest, the end of the discussion for today. I would like to again express my gratitude for all the distinguished speakers, and especially His Excellency Pak Umar Hadi and Pak Dodit, as well as Pak Hadi, for participating in this fruitful discussion. I really hope that our research could enrich the cooperation, the ongoing cooperation between Indonesia and South Korea, and also zoom in to the Bandung and Seoul and Suwon cooperation under the sister city mechanism. And on that note, I think it is safe for me to say that we have come to the end of the discussion, and I hope everyone is well and always healthy, and I look forward for the future, the Habibie Center's event. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.